Alright, so to create our spark belt, we will use the asset from Action Essential 2. The name is Sparks number 6. We'll drop it down into the timeline, obviously. And we're gonna move it down to the bottom of the composition. Scale it down a little. And we're gonna duplicate this layer and move it to the side of the first layer, and we will repeat this process multiple times until we end up with a belt, sparks belt, stretching from the left to the right. So as you can see, we created this belt, but it's kind of boring, it's kind of uniform. So in order to make it more random, we're just gonna move each layer on the timeline so it starts at different times. So each layer starts at different times, creating this randomness. Okay, so once we create the belt, we will select all the layers and we will pre-compose them. We are going to name it Spark Ring because that's essentially what we are creating. In Effects, we will type Polar and we'll grab Polar Coordinates and drop it onto Spark Ring. Now in Interpolation, we will type 100%, and under Type of Conversion, we'll choose Rect to Polar. And here's the circle, here's our ring. We'll duplicate this layer 4 times and we will rotate each layer 90 degrees. The first one will be 90. The second one will be 180. The third one 270. And we will leave the last one the way it is, because if we rotate it 360, it's basically gonna end up in the same position, so there's no point of doing so. Right now we will go to Layer and we will create new null object, and we basically want to animate the rotation of null object. Once we animate the rotation of the null object, we want to parent every single layer, every single ring into that null object, and we can simply do it by the menu, or we can just grab the whip tool and drop it onto the null layer. See, we get the same result. Okay, right now we will add motion blur to each layer. Okay, select all the layers and the null object and pre-compose it. And drop the footage of the street into the composition. So now we have our ring and the street footage of our actor walking away from the camera. make the layer of the ring 3D and position the layer so it looks like it's in front of the actor. Now go to Layer, New, create null object once again. And this null object will control the movement of the ring on the street. Make the layer 3D. And animate the position of the null object. We basically want the ring to start in front of the actor and end up behind the camera. The ring will pass the camera eventually. And there we go. The ring is moving towards the camera, past the actor, and eventually past the camera. Okay, so right now we will duplicate the layer, the ring layer, and we'll name it core. We will change the mode to add. We will create a mask inside the ring. Okay, and we will switch it to subtract. And let's expand it a little bit more. We'll create the second mask outside the ring. And we will change this to subtract as well, but we will hit inverted. This way we separated the core of the ring only, so it's basically this hot spot inside the ring. That's what we were going for. Okay, so in the effects type, exposure, drop the effect onto the core layer and increase the exposure to 50. Duplicate the ring layer once again. And let's rename it, let's add blur, ring blur, in effects type blur. And let's drop Gaussian blur into the ring blur layer. We'll increase this by 200. So that's kinda adds some type of glow to the ring. If we wanna increase the glow, we can simply duplicate the layer. Okay, so right now we will select all those 4 layers and we'll duplicate them. We'll move them below and we'll pre-compose them. We're going to name this reflection. Make sure to parent it to null. Go to transform. Yeah, make it a 3D and rotate it on X rotation. Rotate it 90 degrees and pull the layer down until it hits the ground, until it kind of gets below the ring. Scale it up a little bit. Like all those settings, they really up to you. They really there's really no rule. Grab the Gaussian blur again and drop it onto the reflection layer and increase the blurriness by 100, I would say. The mode, switch it to overlay. Okay, so duplicate the street layer. Change the name to street mask. Position the layer above all of them. Position it on the top. And simply draw a mask around the character. You will want to animate the mask and draw it around every single frame. Obviously, for the purposes of this tutorial, I am not gonna to do it because it would take me forever. Alright, so there you go. This is my rough idea of how to replicate that effect. If you like the tutorial, please like it, please subscribe, please comment, please show some love. Please give me the reason to